Welcome to In the Garden. I'm your host, Joyce Hochsprung, McLeod County Master Gardener, and today we're here at the home of Lynette Wentland, who's going to share her beautiful gardens with us. So we'll get started on the tour. Ready, Lynette?
I am. Okay, this is my arbor area, and it has a summer cascade wisteria growing on over that arbor bench. I do have a lot of hydrangea trees and shrubs, as you'll notice, and that is a mandevilla, and I need to plant one every year in memory of my dad. That was one plant that he would always put in a pot and vine up and take such pride in, and he especially liked the red. And you'll notice as we walk around, we have done a lot of landscaping with rock. This is definitely very much the love of my husband. He is in the business. He has the wonderful big equipment to do this, but it's just he and I who have placed all of these rock. It's just been fun and fascinating for our grandchildren. And this actually was the first part of our rock garden. When my son first lived out here, he and we started to develop this area and kind of go around the well and the hydrant. And so this is where we always call the beginning of the garden. So I do have daylilies on top, and this area I change up every year. I plant annuals in, and this year happens to be more summer. But I have done garden mums in here and have it more of a fall theme. But this year I went with the supertunias and coleus, and that is Prince Tut grass. This is just a variety of flowers. Now, I should also mention too that I am getting older and I feel I am getting smarter. I don't know how you feel about it, Joyce, but in my open spaces now, I'm starting to plant shrubs. And so you're going to notice the wagellas, the nine barks. I'm finding all the dwarf varieties. And this is my summer allium.
That is just so interesting. Such a beautiful plant.
It is, and the bees love it. Just love it.
I like that the foliage looks so wonderful yet at this time of the year.
Yes. And along the way, I do put in annuals. So I have some zinnias and dahlias going. And every now and again, I got to point out a mistake. Too tall for the front row. And in the back of the picket fence, or like 25, I started from seeds, the sunflowers. And it came from a packet called Monet's Palette. And I've really enjoyed
quite a variety.
Them. Quite a variety in different colors.
Very pretty.
Penstemon, the popcorn plant, that's an annual. And I just did a little bit of calla lilies here this year. I like them. Now I expected them to be taller, but these must be more of a dwarf variety. But I always enjoy calla lilies. And this is my only shade garden that I have. I envy people that have a lot of shade, but I am full sun out here. But I do have
You have a lot of heucheras in there, and
yes.
I see, is that hosta praying hands?
Yes. And this is my fairy garden, and I have Adley and Walker that live here in Hutchinson, and so they help me plant this little fairy garden.
A nice fun thing for your grandkids to do.
Yes, it is.
That looks like hosta hui down there.
Yes, yes. This one I think is so interesting too. It looks like lettuce leaves. This is my lily garden en masse. Unfortunately, a lot of them are done blooming.
Yes, we are getting to that time of year.
Yes.
So, but we still have some color from them. So
Right. And all are different varieties, different colors, different heights. Some spider, some the regular.
okay, so we have a few daylilies still blooming down here. Probably some of the mid-late ones. And I see what's really catching my eye over there in your veggie garden is that big clump of zinnias.
And I did that purposefully, just planted them probably too close together, but I just wanted that
Mass
look,
of color.
that mass of color. And
Well, and on a year like this when it's not raining at all, you can probably get by with that without mildew problems.
Exactly. If we look up, we have posts with all of the birdhouses on the posts that I really enjoy. And then my flower cart is here, and this is the first year for that, so I just went with yellows and purples.
It's a nice combination.
Mm-hmm. And here again, more shrubbery. Spireas, ninebark, the potentillas. I have butterfly weeds and Joe Pye. Unfortunately, I had to cut that Joe Pye down. The aphids, absolutely, I had a horrible infestation of aphids, and I didn't realize it until it was
too far gone.
I mean, all I had to do is this, and it just, everything was green, full of green bugs.
That's
everything.
Never fun.
So they really got my honeysuckles, and on the post I have honeysuckles and clematis, and I do have this climbing rose that has such a pretty apricot. Yeah, that just was so destroyed as well with aphids. Iris, more sedum, peonies are scattered also throughout my beds. I have one designated peony bed, but I still like to have some others.
Got a nice cheery yellow daylily blooming here.
This is buttered popcorn, and I bought it.
Very good name for that one.
It's a very good name. And I should mention, as we went past the daylilies, I feel so badly that the leaves are so dried up and brown. The drought-like conditions came upon us, and I thought, oh, it's going to rain, and unfortunately I didn't water, and because they tend to be hardy.
They are, I mean,
but they really suffered as well, and now I'm just leaving them until I just clean up.
Yeah, there was a lot of leaf scorch this spring because the heat came on so suddenly. The plants, the foliage wasn't hardened off yet, and it just took a hit.
Penstemon.
That's an interesting one.
Yes, I like that color. I really have
enjoyed
that plant. It's really
I see we have several sedums here.
Right.
Is that Vera Jameson maybe? And can't think of that one, but
and I really have enjoyed the different foliage in the sedum. Some are so burgundy, some are really dark purple, almost black.
Some are almost blue, and there's a lot of variety in sedums.
And again, some spirea and Rudbeckia, and this is a Japanese white spirea, some peonies in the back. I tend to put my iris in the back along the fence because they're the first bloom of the season.
And then when they're starting to look ugly, the other stuff can kind of cover them up.
Yeah. There's a method to our madness, isn't there? And more shrubbery and ninebark. And I wish I knew what the plant was in the back. A friend gave that to me, and but it's just so beautiful. But I'm not sure what that is. And it sure is a bee attractor.
Okay. I wonder if it's something in the Lythrum family. In the same family as purple loosestrife, but a different variety. There are some that are not the purple loosestrife, but...
And again, a phlox that should be in the back. There's that real deep, dark sedum. I like that clematis with the birdhouse
peeking out.
Last year I had most delightful wren peeking out of that, out of its hole.
We've got the Rudbeckia in bloom.
And this is
Sanguisorbia or Burnett, right? I believe. I don't know which variety it is, but but yes, that one can get pretty happy sometimes.
Yes, it's getting a little too prolific for me. I might need to whack away at that one.
And then we have this pretty sedum right here. Looks like it's almost ready to burst into bloom. I love that kind of soft, ethereal look to the heads, before they're in bloom. It's a very pretty look.
I do put peony cages around my sedum.
Kind of helps.
It just kind of helps keep them tidy. Also, some other plants, I cut down tomato cages, just the regular tomato cages. Sure. And I just cut them down, and then that works nice to just give a little bit more support.
Contain them and give them a little support.
Right.
This is a really pretty Echinacea here, coneflower.
Right. And the mums are really starting to take bloom as well.
Yep, I see you've got the double balloon flower, or some of the blooms at least are doubled, huh, on this one?
Right, and a tall variety of balloon flower.
Yeah, I like the balloon flowers. And we've got some more phlox.
And this one I just needed to cut down. It just was getting diseased looking. And
yeah, some years, sometimes you get issues, but more coneflowers. I see some more of the summer allium over there.
Right.
So.
And huge, Mom. I can't wait to have that to be in
bloom.
full bloom.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's going to be quite a showstopper when
Right.
it blooms.
And this is a variegated sedum leaf that I think is so pretty.
Yes, it is. And I see sweet coneflower, Henry Ehlers.
Henry
back
Ehlers,
there.
yes.
He's one of my favorites.
Yes. Just such a tiny, petite.
I've noticed one of mine this year stayed shorter, and one is its normal self, and one stayed shorter, and I'm not quite sure.
I transplanted that one, and I'm thinking that's why
probably
it's
why.
shorter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and your Russian sage is still going.
And actually, I want to hunt that up and move it over to the berm. It's just kind of taking over that area, and I would rather put a nice hydrangea bush in that corner.
Sounds like a good plan.
Oh, this is a perennial miniature hibiscus. Right. Unfortunately,
Nobody wants to be open
they
today.
They aren't going to be open today. They're coming, though. They'll be opening later. And this one's a beauty.
Yeah, that's a pretty shade of red. That bright throat on that one is really nice. Okay, so we've got some blue flax here that is still got a few blossoms coming on. Usually earlier spring, it's just covered, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's just...
this is the first year for me of planting it. Now, will that just continue to multiply, or?
It will reseed. You'll find seedlings here and there and around, which is kind of nice because it's not a super long-lived perennial, but it's a beautiful one. And one of the very rare flowers that's actually blue in the horticultural world.
Right.
A lot of blues are purple.
Right.
So, okay, I see we have some Leotris here, Gay Feather, Prairie Blazing Star, whatever name you want to use.
And I planted zinnias from seed inside the garden fence. So a lot of zinnia beds inside as well.
This is a cheery little fellow.
It is.
Got the nice purple, the eye color is carried out on the edges a little bit.
And I like the color of that one
Back there.
as well.
And then I see we have a nice rose blooming here.
And I only have, well, I have three actually. I have this one and the one along the fence, that pink, the pink and yellow.
Oh,
I see it, and that yellow bloom coming, and then it just evolves into such pretty, into such a pretty color variation. Otherwise I have not grown roses. I tried that and it hasn't been successful, but shrub roses are going well for me. So.
Okay. Oh, another bright,
That's
catchy
really
one.
Stunning.
That's a very eye-catching one. And I see you have a tree hydrangea here, tree form.
Right.
Those are always fun.
And next to the cleomes that I planted on the back there,
here, we have another hydrangea back here.
there's a hydrangea, invincibelle, and then the cleomes, a pink and a purple, and beside that, right behind you, Joyce, is
the bush
clematis.
And that looks like it's blooming pretty well yet. So.
And here's a bed of coneflowers, Echinacea. I think that one's
Green twister, I think.
It resembles green twister. It is a different.
Okay.
It is a
Yeah, the
different
cones, the blooms go down a little bit more.
Mhm.
Green twister tends to come up a little
name.
more.
Right.
Very pretty.
And I like to fill up pots as well to just continue having summer color. We put up this rock bed really in honor of my husband Boogs, his mother's fern peonies. So he wanted to have a bed specifically for these fern peonies. So what I've elected to do is just make it be a bed of all annuals. So I call this my hummingbird and butterfly flower bed.
Lots of
because
zinnias
I do
and cleome and salvias.
Exactly, and the salvias, the black and blue and the black and bloom. The hummingbirds they're just flitting and fluttering around here, and I can just sit on a rock and watch them, and they'll look curiously at me as I look curiously at them. And so it's just been a win-win. Unfortunately, last Wednesday, we had a storm go through here, and the wind broke down our hydrangea tree.
I was gonna say, I thought there was a hydrangea tree there.
And it was just so sad that it just went. Over it went.
That's gardening.
And that's gardening, is right.
I see
We'll need
some Mexican sunflower over here, Tithonia.
Yes.
That's always a fun one to grow too.
That really brings airy orange color to that area.
Yeah, and it's a nice contrast with the purples and
Right.
and the hummingbird, the butterflies and the pollinators love this plant.
Yes. Yes.
And lots of zinnias. So I bet
Lots of
this bed
zinnia.
just hums.
Yes. I wish a hummingbird would be right here greeting us, but I don't see.
Well, I see bumblebees, so.
Yes. Yes. And I think these rock are just gorgeous. A lot of beautiful formations. And that south line, we've planted viburnum and ninebark, and we just started a row of hydrangea down there. And again, more posts and bird posts and clematis.
I see you have a variety of grasses going on over here in this one, kind of a nice area for them, raised up, and since they don't need quite as much water and care as some of the other things, it's kind of a good spot for them towards the back where you don't have to drag as much water.
Exactly. I've given them some drinks this summer, but for the most part, they've really been doing well.
On a year like this, it's
right.
kind of a given.
Yes.
But yeah, I see we have miscanthus there and just coming into bloom.
And I just like the fact that I wanted to buy them that just clump, you know, that won't.
Yeah,
that
ones
won't
that don't run.
Run. And if they run, out they go.
And I see, is this El Dorado or what's the other? Overdam or another one. There are several of the feather reed grasses.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty. Zebra grass.
Yes. And then of course
Carl Forster. Yeah. Oh, I see. We have looks like a Millennia back there on the back side.
In a few more weeks, the feathery plumes are so gorgeous.
Yeah, and when it's backlit by the sun,
yes.
they are just gorgeous.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just watch and see how these work out for me, because I probably will then plant some in my perennial bed then as
it's
well.
Nice to have a space here where you can kind of watch how they behave first.
Exactly, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have this nice berm planted with, looks like amber maple.
Yes.
And a bunch of shrubs.
Magnolia, honeysuckle, varieties of Wagella, and spirea, and nine bars, and the golden smoke.
I would imagine that helps quite a bit with sound from the highway too.
That was the purpose of putting this
kind of
in.
Absorbing
yes,
some of the sound.
Mm-hmm. And we had a couple that were overgrowing and were getting kind of dead in the middle, so we pulled those out and we just started some new shrubs again, hoping to just stay in that 6 to 8 foot height of.
Oh, and I see, is this a Nashiki willow up here?
Yes, yes.
They're very pretty,
yes.
fine-leaved.
Now, I do have some azaleas, and I'm having issue with them, but I've been reading about them, and I want to rework, and they like acidic, and so peat moss to
probably
them.
Soil sulfur.
Right. This was a peony that I needed to move out. I put it here. This is not the location for it. So that will be moved. But I gotta work on those azaleas because I really expected them to be 6 to 8 feet and bringing me flowers in spring, but it really hasn't happened yet. They need help.
I tried some, and unfortunately they kind of died a slow and painful death.
Okay. Well, I
will admit I was not really good about, keeping up with the peat moss and the soil sulfur and too many other irons in the fire, I guess. But
right. And
I bet the birds love this area.
It is fascinating, yes. And we have a brown thrasher that lives in here, and all the birdhouses were full. So it's really been a nice habitat. Here's where we pulled out 2 really huge shrubs. So this is a work in progress. I'm going to add a few more.
New area to play in.
Yes. Find new shrubs. There's one at the house waiting to be planted. So, but I do like to bring in the hydrangeas for the color and the different varieties of 9-bark and their color and blossoms.
There's a lot of foliage color with the 9-barks.
Yes. Okay. And this is my peony bed. There's 18 different peonies that I've planted. I actually posted a picture this spring on Facebook, and all different colors.
It was stunning.
It's really gorgeous when they are in full bloom.
Well, the good thing about the peonies, at least, is they usually look good, look shrub-like afterwards.
Correct.
And still look attractive.
Correct. And this is a shrub bed. Hydrangeas and Kodiak honeysuckle in the back, and barberry and 9-bark, potentilla, some hydrangeas going on here, Wagala, barberry, and the same with St. John Wort, Deer Villa.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of shrubs that I'm moving towards.
A little less maintenance.
A little less maintenance.
Okay. Now, do you find with your Deer Villa, the Kodiak Red and the other one, that you have to do a little root pruning around them in the spring, or haven't they been there that long yet?
This is like, I want to say the second or third year for them, and I
Okay.
have not needed to do anything with them at this point.
Okay, I've noticed with mine, I have Kodiak Red, and that if I want it to stay in its spot, I have to kind of go around with a sharp shovel in the spring and just
Okay.
kind of cut down to
Okay,
slow the root running.
I see.
But they are lovely because
Yeah.
they bloom almost all summer,
Right.
and the pollinators just love them. So, okay, and we're coming down
We're
towards
coming
the
to
end
the
here.
end here. And I like my Sunfinity. It just makes me smile.
That's a cute, cheery little one.
Yes, it
And I see
is.
some more hydrangeas and
Right.
more daylilies back there.
Yes, and then I insert annuals again for color.
Just to keep the show going.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, well, I want to thank you, Lynette, for letting us come into here today. It's been a beautiful tour. I think our viewers are going to enjoy this. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time in the garden.